Hello everyone, and welcome to week 15 of English 120. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope this week you guys get a chance to have a great gathering with some really good food. I know many of you will be working hard on your research papers, and I'm posting this lecture in order to give you some really good advice on how to write the best research paper that you can. I'm very sorry not to be there today. You can probably tell by my voice, I'm not feeling very good. So I wanted to make sure that you still got this information, and thankfully, thanks to technology, I can give you this lecture via our Blackboard site. So as you know, your research paper is due on the first draft, which means a very complete first draft, is due a week from today. Your final paper will be an argumentative research paper that explores a topic you presented in your prospectus. Remember, it needs to be 8 to 10 double-spaced pages. It needs to be in Times New Roman 12-point font. It needs to be in MLA format, see Chapter 20 of the Bedford Researcher. It needs to have at least 6 academic sources that you use, in addition to any of the texts that we use for this class. And I'm going to go over exactly how to create the best research paper possible right now. Key dates are your first draft. You must walk in next Tuesday to class with your finished research paper, ready to share it with a peer to do a peer review workshop. Your peer review workshop will happen on Tuesday. Then you will have a conference with me on either December 3rd or December 8th. Our All-Star Fishbowl will happen on December 10th, the last day of class. And your revised final second draft final draft is due on the last day of class as well, December 10th. We will have a final in this class. It will be related to the Valley of the Moon, but it will also be a fun party in the classroom during finals week. More details on Tuesday, December 1st. So, your research paper, here's the basic structure. Your introduction should be 2 to 3 paragraphs long. It should begin with a hook. It should introduce your topic. It should frame your argument and clearly state your thesis. Your body paragraphs, which should be at least 5 to 10 paragraphs long, 1 to 2 paragraphs per subtopic. Each body paragraph should introduce the subtopic you're talking about. Support that topic using evidence from your outside sources. Relate back to your thesis. Your conclusion is where you should restate all of the main points that you've made in your paper. Restate the evidence you've used to prove your points, and end by reinforcing your message and sharing your final thoughts on the topic. Please avoid using statements like "I believe" or "I feel." Finally, your works cited page is a standalone page at the end of your paper where you provide citations for all sources you've referred to in your paper. Citations must follow MLA format. See Chapter 20 for MLA formatting guide. Sample works cited page is found on page 367. So much of your, when you draft your introduction, much of the work for your introduction was done when you created your topic history. If you did a good job in your prospectus with your topic history, you should be in really good shape. An introduction should grab your reader with a hook. It should introduce your topic, then frame your argument. What is it you're going to be arguing in your paper? And clearly state your thesis. See pages 249 to 253 in the Bedford Researcher for details on how to write an effective introduction. Your body paragraphs, you can use the outline that you created when we worked in class last. You want to translate your bulleted list of topics in your outline into full sentences. And don't be afraid to change the order of ideas that you need to as you're drafting. Remember, the way you present the information will change how people perceive your argument. Draft effective paragraphs by focusing on a central idea for each paragraph. Paragraphs should have a topic sentence in which you make an assertion or offer an observation or you ask a question. Follow a pattern in your paragraph. Support the points you are making by supporting it with evidence from a source. You need to use evidence in every single paragraph that you are providing in this paper. Whenever you use a source, you want to introduce your source by naming the author, establishing her authority on the topic, and using attributions such as according to, claimed, expressed, reported, acknowledged, commented, inquired, said, stated, wrote, or pointed out. Always contextualize your quotation before you introduce it and after. You always have to tell me what that quotation means in relation to what you're arguing in your paper. Final sentence in your body paragraph should draw a conclusion based on the evidence that you provided that supports the essay's thesis statement. Here's an example body paragraph for you to look over, and it's I broke down exactly how this person makes his or her point in this paragraph, so please take a look at it. But you want to create flow between your paragraphs, and you do so using something called transitions. Transitions are words and phrases such as however and on the other hand that show the relationship between paragraphs and sentences. Transitions help readers understand how one sentence builds on another and how a new paragraph is related to the one before it. By signaling these relationships, they help readers anticipate how the information and ideas that they're about to read are related to the information and ideas that they've just read. So if you're introducing a sequence of ideas, use words like furthermore, in addition. If you're trying to contrast one thing against another, use words like however or on the other hand. If you're trying to elaborate, use words like for example, for instance. If you're trying to signal a concession, say something like I admit that or of course. To compare things similarly in the same manner, like, as in, and to introduce a conclusion as a result, as a consequence, therefore, thus, for this reason. When you're drafting your own conclusion, at a minimum, your conclusion should summarize the main points that you've made in your paper and tell us how these points support or prove your thesis. Remember, your conclusion is your last chance to leave an impression on your reader, and therefore it gives you a final opportunity to influence your readers. Make sure you look at the conclusion drafting strategies on pages 253 to 256 in the Bedford Researcher. Finally, I want to talk about how to use sources effectively. You're going to use sources to introduce an idea or argument in your paper. You can use it to contrast ideas or arguments. You can use them to provide evidence for your argument. You can use them to align your argument with an authority or to define a concept, illustrate a process, or clarify a statement. So how do you integrate sources into your draft? Whenever you begin a quotation, you want to begin with an attribution to identify your source. So see page 263 for a full list of attributions. You want to vary the attributions that you use throughout your paper. Then you're going to cite your source by providing the last name of the author, if not already stated, and the page number in parentheses after the end of the quotation. So here's an example. Pamela Koch argues, the attribution is argues, and then the quotation, education reform is the best solution for fixing our public schools. Notice that the number 22 is in the parentheses, not Koch 22, because we've already stated Pamela Koch's last name. When you quote, you want to choose what type of quote to use wisely. You can use a partial quote of just a word or two, and if you do, all the words that are quoted need to be in quotation marks. The source information is included at the end of the sentence with just last name and page number. Or a complete quotation, one or more complete sentences. And this is the same as a partial. After the complete quotation, all the words that you're quoting are in quotation marks, and afterwards you put in the last name and page number. There's also block quotations. These are extended quotations, more than 4 typed lines of text. These are indented 1 inch from the left margin, and they do not use quotation marks. You want to cite the source, last name, page number. Please note that you don't want to use more than 1 or 2 block quotations in your entire paper. Please use your quotations effectively. Whenever you use a quotation in your draft, you need to first introduce that quotation. Include the quotation. whether it's partial, complete, or block. And page 264 has more information than what I just said. And then you need to explain to the reader what the quotation means in regards to the point that you're making in your paper. See examples on page 267 for details on how to integrate quotations into your draft. Finally, include a works cited page. You'll need a correctly formatted works cited page at the end of your research paper where you list all the sources you referred to in your paper in MLA format. See the example on page 367. Remember, your works cited page must be a standalone page at the end of your paper. It must be titled Works Cited. It must use the correct indentation that you see on this page. All of your citations need to be in correct format. If you have questions about this, make sure you ask me. All right, guys, that's it. I'm so sorry I'm not there in person. I hope this lecture helps you, as I will be answering emails over the break, so please just email me if you have questions. Your homework is to complete any research modules you have not yet completed. You have until the last day of class to complete these. Your research paper, Draft 1, is due December 1st. Come to class ready to participate in the peer review workshop December 1st. You will sign up for conferences next Tuesday. They'll take place on December 3rd and December 8th. The All-Star Fishbowl will take place on December 10th. Your revised final draft of your research paper is due December 10th. Happy Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.